Hi, I'm Cameron. I don't just read comics. I love them, and welcome back to another episode of Cameron Reads Comics. Today, I'm going to be talking about Superman, The Last Days of Lex Luthor by Mark Waid and Bryan Hitch. Let's hop into it. Okay, so this story collects Superman, Last Days of Lex Luthor, issues number 1 through 3. For accessibility, I don't think you need to know much about the story for the most part. You can just hop in. It's kind of an Elseworld story. In my headcanon, Mark Waid's and Lionel Francis Yu's Superman Birthright it's my Superman origin. I take everything from that as canon, whether or not the DC universe does. This story, in my opinion, it's very literally just a sequel to that. They kind of exist in their own world. It's the canon's up to you if you want. I think that story is going to be kind of like an influence moving forward to everyone else. If you haven't read that, it would help, but you don't need to. I just think that Mark Waid writes the Superman Lex Luthor dynamic so perfectly. I think he's a writer that very much understands Lex Luthor, and that translates in both of those stories. And he really nails the Superman Lex Luthor relationship. So for this story, I think the idea of this story is, how far would Superman go to save someone? The second question to ask is, how far would Superman go to save Lex Luthor? And the answer we're seeing in this one and another story, Superman Up in the Sky, kind of is the same. It's to the ends of the earth. Superman will do everything in his power to save everyone he can. He believes in humanity. So the crux of the story is Lex gets contracted with a rare disease, and he corners Superman in a very public way to basically try and save him. And that's exactly what the story is about. It's Superman just going to the ends of the earth to try and find a cure for Lex, or try and find out what made him sick in the first. Like, what is the illness he has? Like, we don't know, but we know that Lex is dying. And he doesn't just go across the galaxy; he goes across space and time. Superman goes into outer space. Superman goes to Themyscira. Superman goes to the future to see the Legion of Superheroes. Again, the idea is not because of who Lex is, but it's because of who Superman is. And in the canon, because of what happened in Superman Birthright, Superman feels personally responsible for making Lex the way he is. Not sickness-wise, but just in general. So that'll inform some of the feelings that are happening in this book. The story explores Clark and Lex's history, as well as Superman in Lex's history. There's two separate relationship dynamics there. The story is very much of the idea that Superman and Lex, or Clark and Lex, knew each other in Smallville before they met in Metropolis. Whether or not that's your headcanon, I personally subscribe to that. It's kind of like the Silver Age idea. The story shows that Superman will always find a way, but if he can't, what did Lex Luthor's last days look like? For the art, Bryan Hitch was the artist on this story. He is known as the godfather of widescreen comics. It's a big deal to get him on this story, and I think he's been working on it for a long time. The first issue came out 2 years ago, and it finally got wrapped up this year. So it came out in 2023, this issue, and it got so delayed, it finally just came out this year. I blame editorial, personally, for publishing the first issue without having issues 2 and 3 done, because we just waited. They had to publish the first issue twice, not knowing when issue 2 would come out, but obviously now it's complete and it's all good. I think that the magazine-sized format of this series really helped Bryan Hitch, and I just think it just goes to show his capabilities. The format lends itself to him so well. He drew the entire Superman mythos. The story's obviously it's a Superman story, but it celebrates so many aspects of Superman lore, and that's something I love about how Mark Waid writes. It's the Legion of Superheroes is a Superman team. So, we go to the Legion, we go across the DC universe, we go to Themyscira and all these big grandiose locations and scenes and splash pages. There's no shortage in here. We go see different Superman villains and crazy splash pages of sequences of Superman traveling, taking Lex to the next place, and here's all the scenes. It's incredible. And Bryan Hitch, he spares no expense in these pages. You can see why it took so long. And again, I don't blame him. I get frustrated with editorial because I'm hey, let's just have a plan to get these out sooner. If the story's not done, maybe we should just not complete it. Obviously, that's different with monthly comics. This was not a monthly comic. It's a 3-issue series. Anyways, whatever, dude. But yeah, Bryan Hitch crushed it. He did a great job in this book. I think he's a great he's a great artist for this series, and he did a really great job drawing Lex and Superman and the dynamic. Mark Waid is my favorite writer. Mark Waid's Superman is like my favorite version of Superman, so I was destined to love this book. I think that this is the one Superman story he had in his back pocket ready to go for years. He always talked about the one Superman story. And then when he talks about this, he'll say that he thinks this is the best thing he's ever written. I adore this story. I think it's a great Superman story. And I also think it's severely underrated due to the delay of it getting released. I think over time, people are going to read it and be like, oh yeah, that's like one of the pinnacle Superman stories. Does it crack my top 10? I don't know. Maybe the top 10, not the top 5. But it's a good story. If I'm like, want to slide a book across the table and let you guys know who I think Superman is and demonstrates who he is, this would be a book I would give you. And this story is a love letter to the character. And personally, like, that's my favorite kind of comic to read, is love letters to the characters. I'm like, they deserve the praise. It leans into all the best parts of Superman's legacy, and it isn't afraid of the aspects that make the character who he is. I think some people like get so hung up on the Krypton of the Phantom Zone, and they're just like, let's keep Superman in Metropolis. And I'm like, no, like take all the lore as it is. And Mark Waid always does. And that's always something I want to applaud the story for. Again, I also think that Mark Waid writes one of the best Lex Luthors. He nails it every single time. And so for my rating, actually, I think this book is once it's collected, and I think it is now. You can go buy the collection now. Now for my rating, I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. It's really good, but I'm like, I think you should all go read Superman Birthright by Mark Waid and tell me what you think. My name's Cameron. I don't just read comics. I love them.